Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we are taking a close look at a fascinating Australian coin that many people may still have sitting in an old coin jar or collection. We are talking about the Australian 10-cent coin dated 2008. If you have a 2008 Australian 10-cent coin, then you may be wondering if it is worth more than its face value and whether there are any special features that could make your coin interesting to collectors. The Australian 10-cent coin has a long history, and it is one of the familiar denominations in the Australian decimal coin series. The 10-cent denomination was introduced when Australia changed to decimal currency in 1966. Since then, millions of 10-cent coins have been produced for everyday circulation. The 2008 issue is especially interesting because collectors often look at coins from specific years to understand their mintage figures, condition varieties, and possible errors. However, it is important to remember that simply having an old date does not automatically make a coin extremely valuable. The condition, rarity, and presence of a genuine mint error can make a much bigger difference. The Australian 10-cent coin has a denomination of 10 cents and features the well-known lyrebird design. The lyrebird is one of Australia's most recognizable native birds, and it has appeared on the Australian 10-cent coin since decimal currency began. The reverse design was created by Australian artist Stuart Devlin, who designed many of Australia's decimal coins. On the obverse of the coin, you will normally find the portrait of the reigning monarch. For a 2008 Australian 10-cent coin, the obverse features Queen Elizabeth II. The exact portrait style and inscriptions can help identify the coin and confirm that you have the correct issue. The coin is made from cupro-nickel, which is a copper and nickel alloy. This composition gives the coin its familiar silver-colored appearance. Because these coins were designed for circulation, they can often show signs of wear after years of use. Now let's talk about the circulated value of the 2008 Australian 10-cent coin. A normal circulated 2008 Australian 10-cent coin is generally worth around its face value unless it has something unusual that attracts collector interest. A heavily circulated example with scratches, marks, and worn details will usually not command a major premium. This is very important for new collectors. You may see internet videos claiming that ordinary coins are worth thousands of dollars. In reality, most common circulated examples are not worth huge amounts. Valuable coins do exist, but collectors need to identify the specific reason why a particular coin is rare. The first thing you should check is the condition. Look closely at the lyrebird on the reverse. Examine the feathers and the fine details of the bird. On a heavily circulated coin, some of these details may appear smooth because of wear. Also inspect the lettering and the edge of the coin. Then turn the coin over and examine the portrait. Look at the hair, facial details, lettering, and other raised areas. Coins that have been heavily used can develop noticeable wear on the highest points of the design. A coin in better condition can attract more collector interest than an identical coin that has been heavily circulated. If your 2008 10-cent coin looks unusually sharp with strong details and very little wear, then it may be worth keeping separately from ordinary pocket change. Another important factor is the strike quality. Sometimes a coin can be struck weakly during the minting process. A weak strike can make certain details appear less defined. However, a weak strike is not necessarily a valuable error. Collectors normally want to see clear evidence that the unusual appearance happened during the minting process. This brings us to mint errors. Mint errors can sometimes make an otherwise common coin much more interesting. Errors can include major off-center strikes, double strikes, clipped planchets, wrong planchets, or unusual die problems. But there is an important warning. Not every strange-looking coin is a mint error. Coins can become damaged after leaving the mint. They can be scratched, bent, polished, heated, chemically altered, or damaged by machines. Post-mint damage normally does not make a coin rare or valuable. For example, if the edge of your 2008 Australian 10-cent coin looks damaged, it does not automatically mean that it is an error. The damage could have happened while the coin was in circulation. You should also avoid cleaning the coin. Many new collectors believe that cleaning an old coin will make it more valuable. Usually the opposite is true. Scrubbing, polishing, or using chemicals can permanently damage the original surface of the coin and reduce its collector appeal. If you discover a 2008 Australian 10-cent coin that looks unusual, then it is better to leave it exactly as you found it. Another thing collectors examine is the edge. Take your coin and look carefully around the entire edge. Check for unusual shapes, missing metal, or other abnormalities. Compare it with another normal Australian 10-cent coin if possible. A comparison can help you determine whether something is genuinely unusual. You can also check the weight and dimensions of the coin. If your coin seems significantly different from a normal example, then it may deserve further investigation. However, small differences can sometimes occur because of wear or measuring equipment, so a single measurement should not be treated as proof of an error. The 2008 date itself is not enough to make an ordinary circulated Australian 10-cent coin extremely valuable. This is one of the biggest lessons for coin collectors. Value comes from scarcity, demand, condition, historical importance, and unusual characteristics. If millions of similar coins were produced and many examples still survive, then an ordinary circulated specimen will usually remain inexpensive. But there is still a good reason to keep these coins. Coin collecting is not only about finding a coin worth thousands of dollars. It is also about history. Every Australian 10-cent coin from 2008 represents a small part of Australia's decimal currency story. Imagine where that coin may have traveled. Could have been used in a shop, a vending machine, a supermarket, or carried in someone's pocket. It may have passed through many hands before ending up in your collection. That history is part of what makes collecting coins so enjoyable. If you are searching through old Australian coins, then I recommend separating them by denomination and date. Keep your 10-cent coins together and arrange them by year. This makes it much easier to identify missing dates and unusual examples. You can also compare coins from different years. Look for differences in the design, condition, edge appearance, and overall quality. If you find a 2008 10-cent coin that appears to have a genuine mint error, then do not rush to sell it based on an online claim. Take clear photographs of both sides and the edge. Compare it with known examples, and if the coin appears significant, consider getting an opinion from a reputable Australian coin dealer or professional grading service. The market value of an unusual coin depends heavily on exactly what the error is and how strong the evidence is. For an ordinary circulated 2008 Australian 10-cent coin, the realistic expectation is usually close to face value. Coins in better condition can be more desirable to collectors, but that does not automatically mean they are worth hundreds or thousands of dollars. A genuine rare mint error can be a completely different story. This is why every coin hunter should inspect their change carefully. Before you spend your 2008 Australian 10-cent coin, take a few seconds to look at it. Check the date. Check the lyrebird. Check the lettering. Look at the portrait. Examine the edge. Look for unusual doubling or striking problems and compare the coin with a normal example. You never know what you might find. At the same time, it is important to stay realistic. The majority of 2008 Australian 10-cent coins are common circulated coins and will not make you rich. But finding a genuine error or an exceptionally well-preserved example can make your discovery much more interesting. So if you have a 2008 Australian 10-cent coin sitting in your collection, do not throw it away. Examine it carefully and learn what makes the coin different from ordinary examples. Coin collecting rewards patience. The more coins you examine, the better your eye becomes. You start noticing small details that you might have ignored before. You learn how circulation affects coins, and you become better at recognizing genuine mint errors from ordinary damage. And remember that condition matters. A heavily worn coin with scratches and damaged surfaces will generally have little collector premium. A sharply detailed coin with attractive original surfaces can be much more desirable. If you are building an Australian decimal coin collection, then the 2008 10-cent coin is a nice piece to include. It represents the continuation of one of Australia's most recognizable decimal coin designs, and it can also teach new collectors about condition, varieties, mint errors, and market value. So what is your 2008 Australian 10-cent coin worth? If it is a normal circulated example, then expect it to be around face value in most cases. If it is in exceptional condition or has a confirmed mint error, then its collector value could be higher. The exact value depends on the individual coin and the characteristics that make it special. Always remember that asking prices on online marketplaces are not the same as confirmed selling prices. A coin listed for a very high amount does not mean that someone has actually paid that amount. The best way to understand value is to compare genuine sales and consult experienced collectors or reputable dealers. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure you subscribe to the channel for more Australian coin values, coin collecting tips, rare coin discoveries, and interesting information about coins from around the world. And before you leave, check your own coin jar. You might have an Australian 10-cent coin that deserves a closer look. Thank you so much for watching, and good luck with your coin hunting. Keep checking your change because you never know what you might find.